So the second task in CELPIP speaking exam is talking about your personal experience.
Time is up.
This personal experience question looks like this one. So talking about a personal experience, that is your task 2. You are given 30 seconds to prepare your answer and 60 seconds to record your answer. Now, personal experiences, I would be dividing it into 2 different forms of personal experiences. Firstly, I'm going to talk about, a personal experience of knowing someone, maybe, one of the relative that you are very close to, or maybe a child that you are very close to, or maybe one of the neighbors that you are very close to. So this is your personal experience because you are close to those people. So this is the first type of question that can be asked in talking about a personal experience. So let's read the prompt. The prompt says, talk about a child that you have been close to. Maybe you can talk about your own child, a friend's child, a nephew or niece, or any other child that you have known well. So now please pay attention to what I am teaching you. So you have only 30 seconds, and I am now teaching how to read the question. So very important is that this question always starts with talk about. So talk about a child, talk about your relative, talk about your neighbor, talk about your teacher, and that you have been close to. And after that, I am going to put this line here to show you that after this question, after this sentence, this statement, they will give you 3 to 4 options for, to help you if you cannot think about which child should I talk about. So they will be giving you 3 to 4 examples. Here they are saying, maybe it can be your own child, 1, friend's child, 2, nephew, 3, niece, 4, or any other child that you have well known. So after this sentence, from here onwards, they are just giving you options. So if you are good in creating ideas, and which you will be after, as you take my course and as you will build up your, understanding, you will become better idea creator also. So if you're a good idea creator, there is absolutely no need to read this whole sentence and take your another 15 seconds of your time, or 10 or 12 seconds of your time. So you just stop here after this one and start talking about the child that you know. So not talking, start preparing the notes. So I'm going to give you a document here. I'm going to share with you this document, which is this one. So talk about someone like a child or your neighbor or your idol or your close friend. So what things that you have to tell in your answer? What is the name of the child or friend? What is his or her age? Since when you have known that person, your friend or, child or your neighbor, or whatever the question is. Then what are the things that you do together with that person? What is the education level of that person? Where that person works? And in case of a child, if the child is very young, you can omit this point. What he or she likes and dislikes, and what are the good qualities of that person? And at the end, you will be saying feelings and wishes. So I love, my nephew, and I wish him all the success in life. So that will be your ending. Now, these are the points that are going to really fill your answer very systematically, step by step. However, I have written here probably 9 points. You may not need to speak all 9 points because it is 60-second answer. So I have just given you 9. Maybe you are just required to speak 4 to 5 out of these only. So name is important, age can be given, and since when you have been knowing that person, what are the things that you do together, 2 to 3 things, and then maybe what he or she likes, what are the qualities, and that's it. Education and work can be omitted. And this is how you will build up your answer. For task number 2, if they're asking you, tell me about your personal experience about some personality, maybe baby, child, neighbor, co-worker, relative. So there is a chance that you will get one of this question. So this is one type of question that you can get. And then there is another type of question that you can get is where they are talking about the personal experience and which is from your past. So what does that mean? So the first one was personal experience with some person. Now it is a personal experience of some event that has happened in the past. Many types of events happen with us. Some good, some not so good, some pleasant, some not so pleasant. So one thing I want to tell my students is that they never ask you an unpleasant event, because the language gets triggered when some unpleasant memory or past event comes to your mind. You will be emotionally disturbed, and that might affect your language production. So the prompt will be definitely some events, some experiences that were pleasant in one way or the other, and that you experienced in your past. So for example, it can be talk about a time when you enjoyed and fun with your friends, or talk about a time when you achieved something, or talk about a time when you helped somebody and you felt very satisfied. So if you look at these 3 examples that I have given you, that all these 3 examples have a positive, pleasant experience. So they would never say talk about a time when you or somebody that you know met with an accident, because that will be, emotionally disturbing to you. So this is a very good part for you to understand that the experience that they will be asking you would be past, and it would be pleasant experience. Let's see this example now. So here we have a task which is talking about a personal experience, but it is different than the one that I mentioned and explained earlier. Now, this is a personal experience from the past. So here,
speaking now.
So here they would be using this talk about a time when you made a difficult decision. So talk about a time. This question always starts with these 4 words, talk about a time. After that, when you made a difficult decision, when you achieved something, when you helped somebody, when you enjoyed a lot. So these kinds of situations will be asked to you. And after that, I would like you to just pay attention to this one, what it says further. It says, maybe you can talk about when you chose your career. Now pay attention to this one. I would say one option there. They're giving you some ideas. So they say, maybe talk about when you chose your career. Or they will say, maybe you moved to a new place, which is number 2. And then the next choice they are giving option is maybe you choose a college or university. So 3. So after this sentence, talk about a time when you made a difficult decision, they always talk about maybe. So when we are saying maybe, even in the previous question also, that talk about a child that you are very close to, maybe you can talk about your own child, maybe you can talk about a child from the neighborhood, or your nephew or your niece. So they give you options, right? So after the options, there is a question. In the earlier, there was not a question, but pay attention here. There is a question here. Talk about a time when you made a difficult decision. What was the decision? This is where you have to focus more. You have to read more here. This is more important. What was the decision? How did you make it? How did you make it? And how did you feel? So that means when you're talking about the time when you made a difficult decision, you have to answer 3 questions. What was the decision? How did you make that decision? And how did you feel about that? So very important here is that student must read this question super carefully to see what do I need to address in this question, in this task. So usually students get lost reading in, maybe you can talk about the time when you choose a career or move to a new place or choose a college or university, and then you're thinking, and then your brain just takes a flight of fancy when you moved to a new place and you start talking about maybe the experience of that or something, but you are not addressing, you may not be addressing these 3 questions. And this is what is important, that what was your decision? First answer this one. Then after that, how did you make it? That is the second part. And the third one, how did you feel? So these are the 3 parts of this question. Once you will be able to know that, then how do we do it? How would I recommend you to do it? Is you will, as you are reading, you will say, okay, talk about the time when you made a difficult decision. So let us say I made a difficult decision when I was to move to this country. So then go here. What was the decision? So the decision was to move from my home country to Canada. And this decision was a decision for not only for me, but for my family, my husband and my 2 children. And how did I make this decision? This decision had many, many, reasons for making this decision. The first reason was that my partner, who is a very highly qualified person, he found that there are not much job opportunities matching his academic qualifications and his experience. And he wanted to move out from the city where we were living. Though that city was a metropolitan, but he was looking for a bigger city than that. And he thought, well, if I have to move from this city out, which is my hometown, why don't I move to Canada? So we then looked at the pros and cons of moving to another city in my home country with Canada, moving to Canada, and we were seeing that there are more opportunities here. So that made us decide about that. And how did I feel about this decision? I think this question I can keep answering till my last breath. How did I feel? Most of the time, I feel good about what the decision that has been made. But as a human being, there are times when I say, oh my God, I want to be in my hometown, where life that I grew up in is still, reverberating there, and I want to enjoy it. So what I did was I was taking one part and answering it, another part and answering it, and another part and answering it, one by one. Now here I feel that my question answer must have been gone beyond 60 seconds, right? Because I got emotional and I got transported to my moving here. However, but if we prepare it very diligently, then the listener who would be marking your question would say, okay, the speaker is taking one question at a time, and then the second question later on addressing it, then the third question. So maybe if I'm going so long, maybe I may not be able to record my answer for the last part of it, but I gave sufficient answer for part 1 and part 2. And anyways, I will here stop speaking now, and I would stop there. So this is the question that you would be addressing for talking about a personal experience.